welcome to the Retire Well podcast. We are your hosts, Alicia, Kaye, Julie Lampy, and Patty Coloca Massot. We're offering a fresh and comprehensive perspective, helping you see retirement through a new lens. We're three female entrepreneurs from Central Florida who are passionate about serving the pre-retirement, post-career adult. Today, you get to hear a little bit more about me. Alicia, Kaye, professional organizer. My company's Try Organizing, and I'm going to let these two ladies ask away some interview questions.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So first question is, and I've been wondering this for a long time, and I don't think I really know, but how did you make that transition from being an athlete to becoming an organizer and being just so passionate about it?
Yeah, it was, I knew for a little while because I think I've mentioned on a previous episode, maybe I haven't, but both my parents received terminal diagnoses in 2017 and 2018. And so I was really balancing my career as a professional athlete while both my parents were in declining health. And it just really sort of reshuffled my life. My priorities changed. And while I did race for both 2017 and 2018 and actually 2019, I knew I wanted to start thinking about retirement, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. And that was sort of a super scary feeling. Just not being sure what I wanted to do, and also being like in my mid 30s and feeling like I was 21 again, trying to discover myself, like kind of felt like a bit of a midlife crisis. And I actually have my mom to credit for this. One of the ways that I felt in control of a very chaotic situation was organizing my mom's apartment. Like when she moved, I organized everything, made it really simple so that all the different caregivers and different people from nursing teams and things like that, it was super easy for everyone. And it was very easy for my mother to find things. She was going through chemotherapy. I didn't want her up on her feet looking hard or spending extra time looking for things when she didn't need to. And she was kind of like, you're really good at this. Like, you should think about doing this as a career. And I remember exactly what I said. I said, I don't think that's an actual job. And it did. And it just kind of stuck with me, because her health really deteriorated after that. And in the middle of all that, I helped my dad downsize into a nursing home, and he has Lewy body dementia. And I really got to see like organizing his little space and how kind of the organization was super powerful for him and creating habits that were super repeatable for him that allowed him to stay independent for longer, and kind of cued him to continue to do his routines. Even simple things like getting up and brushing his teeth in the morning. It can be really kind of simple, pairing different habits. So essentially my mom passed last summer, and I wasn't sure I was going to do, didn't know what I was going to do. And I bought a book, How to Be a Professional Organizer. As sort of silly as that sounds, it's exactly how it started. And I just started organizing anything that anyone would let me touch. So it just went from there, and I just followed the steps in this book and contacted NAPO, National Association of Productivity and Organizing Specialists, and just became just enthralled immediately. And my poor husband had to deal with me turning our house upside down, purging everything and just starting fresh. And the more I did, the better I felt. And it's just been wonderful. And I just wanted to share that feeling with others, because I knew that I wasn't the only one that was really burdened by possessions and also burdened by a lack of order in their home. So that was kind of what started it all.
Yeah, that organizing is cathartic, and it does feel really good. We've been doing a lot since COVID. We've been doing a lot of organizing in our house, and it's been really awesome. So tell me about why you enjoy serving the pre-retirement and post-career community specifically. I know that your parents and their specific conditions are part of that and that story and why you like to work with that community. But tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I really realized it was a population that was really underserved. And a lot of times they were in crisis when it came to their possessions and they didn't have anywhere to go. And I also know what it's like to be the adult child who lives far away from a parent who might be in need. And I also feel like I possess a really special compassion towards speaking and listening. I think my counseling degree really comes in handy there. Um, you know, Downsizing or retirement, getting older, facing new diagnoses, whether they be cognitive or physical, is like a lot for someone to deal with. And I just feel like there's a lot of really challenging life transitions that you start facing as you kind of wind down your career and start thinking about retirement. And I just wanted to serve that population and guide them from the perspective of what are you going to do with all your stuff? You know, I know that sounds silly, but at that juncture in your life, you tend to have accumulated quite a bit. And very often in Florida, we see people coming down here to downsize and not realizing we don't have usable attics and basements and getting here in the pods in the driveway and their house is full, their garage is full. So I just, really enjoy help them navigate that. And, sometimes it's the adult child that reaches out to me that says, like, can you come and help my mom or dad? A lot of times my client is single, they might be divorced, or maybe they're widowed. But either way, there's been some type of life transition they've gone through. And if they weren't calling me, I don't know who they'd call. And I realized their resources before me were like people would come in and like an estate person who would just be like, I'll give you $5,000 for the entire house, all the contents, like zero compassion, or a junk collector, or it just gets so bad that it becomes like a hoarding type situation. So that was a really long answer, but
yeah, but it covered a lot. So it's good.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a question because I can imagine someone, like I had a call today. I was working with the client and the husband now needs to have a wheelchair. He needs to be moving around the house with the wheelchair. And I understand that for medical reasons, they have to now look at space a whole lot differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from another perspective, so let's say someone that's not going through these types of issues or going through these changes, why would a mature, sophisticated adult reach out when it's not medical,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mentioned a few of the circumstances already. Sometimes their adult child is not close by, so they're not able to help. Sometimes that family member is close by and they've butted heads. I've had that quite a few times where the adult child has said, no, I do not want the family heirlooms. And I kind of have to come in and kind of help talk that person through because whether or not there's a wheelchair or a diagnosis, it's not serving them anymore. And I think that's a really unique thing about our baby boomer and older generation is that they are so overburdened with possessions because they're adult children, which is us, we don't want them. And they're used to receiving the family heirlooms. The furniture they have is the furniture they inherited from their family. And then all of a sudden they're stuck with it. So their parents have passed on, they have their stuff, plus the stuff they accumulated in their own life, and they're just burdened. And so, there's, sometimes it's that new diagnosis, whether it be physical or cognitive. And sometimes it's the child, an adult child doesn't live close by. Sometimes it's a surprising downsize maybe a little bit bigger than you were expecting. But that's just like a number of different reasons that, an adult at this juncture in their life might need someone like me to come in and help. And, we do, as we get older, lose the ability to move heavy things. Like even for myself, like there are pieces in my house I cannot move on my own. And, having someone come in who can move the heavy boxes, get the boxes out to donation, who are the different donations in the community that make them feel good about connecting their items with. And so those are the types of things that I am really passionate about, and just also understanding like where they're at, you know, which is they tend to have that thrift mindset. They were raised by Depression era parents, and just really understanding where they're coming from. It is not junk. Like you cannot walk into these people's homes and say like, oh, this is all garbage, you know, which is what they would have to face if it wasn't a professional organizer like myself coming in and doing. And so, you know, just love being that person to make that transition a little more seamless, and make their quality of life better instead of creating a traumatic event, which is someone walking in and saying you have to get rid of everything when those items are often beloved. So.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I think a lot of times people put that off because they don't want to face the reality. A lot of times, you know, there's just so many memories attached to so many things, and it's kind of like a very drastic decision that they think.
Absolutely.
And scary, right?
Absolutely. And like a lot of times I find that like we do what's called anthropomorphism, which is assigning human traits to an inanimate object, right? You know, we literally start talking to that garment or that piece of furniture like it's something with feelings. And, you know, having that counseling background to be able to identify when things like that are happening, because those are the types of things that happen when we're dealing with something that has lived and seen generations.
I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Patty, we've talked about this. Like, you have a few pieces in your home that have been in your family forever. Now put yourself into, you know, you're 80, 85, you know, and you can't have it all. You're now downsizing. What your adult children don't want them, you know, your golden retrievers say, woof, woof, no thanks. You know? It's like, what do we do? Like, what do we do with these things? And it can be really, really challenging. And whether that's selling, whether that's donating, whether it is just junk, you ideally should have someone that can really compassionately guide you through that process instead of someone who is just going to tear those items from you, which can be really, really traumatic. And that's unfortunately what we see on TV. And that's what people think of when they see organizers, is that someone's going to come in and put a tarp on their lawn and say, you can only keep what fits on this tarp. And that's absolutely not the process that I do with my clients.
Very profound.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, so I think it's time for you to tell us what would be that one gold nugget or that one thing you would like the listeners to take away today from this conversation.
That every single thing you own in your life, you have to take with you when you downsize. So whether a downsize is in 10 years, whether it's next month or in a year, everything in your own home is going to come with you. So you really have to look around and think about how each item in your home is serving you, whether it's like a simple teacup, like over my shoulder, or a cookbook. You know, what need is it serving in your life? And every object in our life has a life cycle. We buy it because we need it, it serves a purpose, and then it stops serving a purpose. And we have to acknowledge and accept when that item stops serving a purpose and it's time to let it go so it can begin a new life cycle with someone else if it's not broken or damaged or things like that. So I think really start looking around your home and thinking about if a downsize is in your future, to really be assessing slowly but surely how every single item in your home is serving you, because it should be. It should be serving you. It should be bringing you joy. And if it's not, you know, might be just something to have a cup of tea over, a glass of wine, a cup of coffee, a beer, and really think about. And it might be super easy. It might be like, oh, I can get rid of that. But it might be harder, and you might need to take the time to, like, you know, go down memory lane and really reflect on all the things that item has seen in your life and been kind of there for you, because those are the types of things traits we assign to things that have no life, no personality, nothing, but we kind of assign all of these traits to them. So that would be my advice: start looking around and assessing what you have and asking yourself if that item is serving you.
I tell you, the first thing that came to mind was our conversation about my school, my college textbooks. I was
Yes.
like, I might not go into that closet yet.
It's hard. College textbooks are really challenging, and I could go on for another 5 minutes about it, but they're definitely tough because I think it's something that we're all passionate about the things that we studied. So
Yeah.
absolutely. All right. So I think that's everything. Any last minute questions? But I think we covered all the bases.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much for tuning in and joining us today. And again, just for your compassion as we just in a very imperfect but authentic way navigate this new podcast world. Patty was off the last episode. In this episode, we're like trying to get 3 very busy women's careers all lined up, trying to do this, and it's not always easy. So we invite you to connect with us on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Interact with us. Let us know if you have questions or if there is a topic within a topic that you want us to dive a little deeper into. Our goal is to educate not only ourselves, but also to educate our listeners on all the different aspects that the pre-retirement post-career adult might be facing. We also invite you to connect with us individually on our business Facebook pages. I'm Alicia with Try Organizing, Julie has Paradigm Interiors, and Patty has Colocomotion. So until next time, thank you so much for listening.